I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the case of 17-year-old Collin Griffith, who took the life of his father 1 year, then took the life of his mother the following year. It's a story that has many people asking a lot of questions. Here's more. This is 17-year-old Collin Griffith. His story is tragic and extremely violent. And to understand it, there are 3 important incidents you have to understand. The first occurred in February of 2023 in Lincoln County, Oklahoma. Collin called 911 after an altercation with his father. Collin said his father had a knife and had him cornered, so he shot and killed him. Prosecutors determined it was self-defense. The second incident was in November of 2023 in Florida, where Collin was charged with domestic violence for beating his mother. Then, in September of 2024, law enforcement was called to Collin's grandmother's house, where Collin's mother was found stabbed to death. Investigators did not believe Collin's story, and he was charged with his mother's murder and will be tried as an adult. Okay, this is a lot. This is a lot to take in, like boom, 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 these 3 incidents, but they're important. So he's with his father. He claims he's cornered, takes out his father, shoots and kills him, okay? So that's in Oklahoma. Then he moves to Florida to live with his mother. Okay, so everyone knows that he's already killed his father. All the people in his life know that. He's taken the life of his father, but it was determined by investigators there at the time that this was self-defense. So now there's an incident in November of 2023. Remember, the killing of his father is earlier that year. Now he's living with mom, and there's an incident, a domestic violence incident. We have body cam video of it. As you watch it, remember, he's already taken the life of his father a few months earlier in Oklahoma. Now he's in Florida with his mother, and there's a call to 911 because of what's happened between him and his mother. Take a look and notice his demeanor.
I can't see without my glasses. I don't know where they went. Hi.
Hello.
Who's who?
I'm Deputy Jankowski, and nice to meet you.
Just bump you.
So what's going on?
When we got there,
I just wanted to check your pocket really first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here, just put your hands on top of your head. You're not in trouble. We just want to make sure you don't have any weapons.
No, something.
I know you called Rentis for help, so I respect you for that.
Just gonna check around your waistband.
So we got there. I was on the phone with Rentis.
Thank you.
She talked to Rentis and talked to him about a bunch of in front of me. I got off the phone with Rentis. We sat down and we ate, and she started talking to me about how a bunch of really bad. And then when I got up and was like, you can't just do that, and she was telling me to shut up, she hit me in the face, and then I reacted like this. She grabbed onto me. I hit her in the stomach, and then I'm a wrestler. It was just reactive. Grabbed her. She got to the ground. I grabbed the phone. I started recording it on my left.
So she hit you in the face?
Yeah.
But we've been through this. You called Rentis because you know you kind of messed up, right?
No, it's because I didn't know who else to call, and I knew that, and I wanted to make sure he knew first off.
Okay. So you put her in a headlock?
No, not a headlock. It's
I'm not going to have you show me because obviously that would be silly on my part, right?
So basically, it's like when someone grabs onto you, what you do to get them off of you is you go like this, and then you can just dash away and get away.
Okay, so you did that? You pushed her off of you?
I just got her off of me. Yeah.
But where did the knee come in and all that?
When she grabbed onto me and she started going at me, I just instinctively, like, my knee went up, and I guess I hit her in the stomach.
Was that before the throwing her off? Or?
That was before. Yeah.
Okay.
Was your grandma here?
She was here. Yeah.
Did she see what's going on?
I don't know.
His demeanor, I mean, he is very calm. I mean, extremely calm. Don't forget now, this is in November, and then this incident of domestic violence with his mother, all right, a few months after he has killed his father. It was self-defense, according to investigators in Oklahoma. Now he's in Florida. Domestic violence. He ends up getting arrested in all this, and then he's out. And he ends up, several months later, killing his mother. This is mind-boggling to me. But I can understand the confusion because things are happening in a couple states, his calm demeanor. But it brings me to the first question in my investigation, which is, could this have been prevented? Again, I'm scratching my head here that his mother's life has been taken, but there's domestic violence. He's already taken the life of his father. Joining me on the phone, clinical and forensic psychologist and author, Dr. Leslie Dobson is with us. Also joining us, retired homicide detective Chris Anderson. Thank you both for joining us. Chris, let me start with you first and what we saw on the scene. This is a domestic violence call, and the demeanor of this young man who's just had like a throwdown with his mom.
Yeah, so what you see, and when you see especially a young child reacting the way that he does after he's been in a life-ending battle with his mother, you know, it says a lot about his personality and who he is. His response to me is rather strange. It calls into mind that, you know, unfortunately, he is not new to talking to law enforcement about some of the interactions he's had with his mother, and it's painful to watch. It says a lot about his demeanor when he's involved in an incident such as this.
Let's take a listen now to Collin's grandmother and what she tells officers about what Collin is telling her.
Under the treatment plan that we have, if there's issues, then he comes and stays with me.
Okay.
So that's what happened last night. So then this morning, they were over here for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Who's they? Him and your...
Lacey and
Okay.
the corporal.
Okay.
So they were over here for 2 hours, maybe 3, because Collin did not want to come back home.
Okay.
And I said, you don't have a choice. You have to go back home. And he said, no, I want foster care. And even the corporal was saying, foster care isn't going to be good for you. You have issues. You have to work on them.
Okay, so Grandma's saying that he's saying he wants to be in foster care. He killed his father. Now he's with his mother. He has assaulted his mother. He's telling his grandmother he doesn't want to be with his mother, and then he wants to be in foster care, but he ends up back with his mother, and then his mother ends up dead. Dr. Leslie Dobson, what is going, this is it just seemed like this was a powder keg that was getting ready to explode again.
Correct. Hi. Yeah, I definitely think that this should have been taken more seriously initially, and it's shocking. And I know that people were very much against this teenager being released because they feared that he was psychopathic and dangerous and would engage in harm again.
Let's take a listen to Collin again. This is again on the body cam video. I want you to remember, this is one day after he has assaulted his mother, right? This is before he kills his mother, but one day after he assaulted her. Take a listen and a look.
Basically what we came back is when the jail was releasing you to your mom this morning, was there anything said then?
Yeah, I said that I didn't really feel safe there with myself and with her, and that I didn't know what was going to happen. I still don't know what's going to happen.
As far as what?
Her attacking me or her doing something to herself or me.
Okay, what about you doing something to her? Are you able to control yourself?
I'm in a constant state of fight or flight, and I don't know. If I think she's gonna do something, even if she's not, I might act. I'm not gonna like go crazy or anything, but I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why we would have a corporal at the jail that took you out, that dropped you off to your mom and telling us that you said, don't put me in the car with her, I'm going to kill her.
Yeah.
Was that said?
I did not say I was going to kill her. I did not say kill. I don't know why he sent me back here. I asked him not to. Is this an arrest or a Baker Act? This is Baker Act.
So they're taking him back into custody. They're using the Baker Act because of psychological issues that he's going through. He apparently had threatened to kill his mother while he was in jail the day before after being arrested for domestic violence. They bring him back to his home. Then they find out about the threats, and then they come back to pick him up. Chris Anderson, this is a difficult spot for law enforcement. You're stuck in the middle of what's happening in this family. The child obviously has some mental issues, and law enforcement is in the middle, trying to keep everybody safe, but he's threatening to kill his mother. Now, he doesn't kill her for several more months after this, but he does end up killing her. And I'm wondering how our whole system sort of let this happen.
So yeah, this is very interesting because the videos that you showed and the ones that probably haven't been revealed to the public yet are going to become very important factors into this case. And for not only for the defense either, it'll be for the prosecution also. What you learn in cases, determining cases whether when a tragedy like this happens, determining what could have been prevented it's going to require a closer look at the family and the dynamics, the warning signs, any interventions or the lack thereof that may have prevented something like this happening. These cases there are oftentimes just underlying issues such as abuse and mental health and struggles and escalating conflicts that happen for a case to reach this aptitude. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of investigation that still has to go into these cases. But I truly believe that those two videos will be very important, and not just for the prosecution, for the defense also.
Absolutely. All right. Chris is going to stick around, as well as Dr. Dobson. Coming up next, should he have been removed from the family?
Given the situation, I don't think that we should be in the same house at all.
A Ponzi scheme and a deadly poisoning.
A former pharmacist already convicted in a federal fraud case.
Now stands trial for the murder of her husband.
The financial crime gives rise to murder.
Did Natalie Cochran kill to cover up other crimes?
We're not here to obtain convictions. We're here to obtain the truth.
Now a jury will decide her fate, and Court TV will bring you every minute.
The Ponzi scheme murder trial. Live coverage continues Tuesday morning, only on Court TV.
I struggle with a kid that's being released from jail and saying, if you bring me back there, she's gonna die.
If we don't do something,
shame on us.
Yeah, then we're not.
Shame on us that we didn't do our job and we failed you. And I'm not failing you.
This is eerie, right? You've got the officers who are returning him because he's released from the jail, bringing him back to his mother, but he said that something's going to happen to her. Now that's in November of 23. He doesn't end up taking her life until the following year, the following September of 24. But November 23, they're returning back saying, she's gonna die. You bring me back here, she's gonna die. So she finally does die. Like I said, September of 24. Here's the Sheriff Grady Judd from Polk County, Florida, explaining what happened here.
It all started on September the 8th, which was this last Sunday, when we got a 911 call from Collin Griffith, who's 17 years of age. And here's what he said. He said he and his mother had a very long fight, and she fell on a knife and killed herself. And she's bleeding from the neck. He didn't say she killed herself, said he's bleeding from the neck. So our 911 operators appropriately were giving them instructions on how to do life-saving techniques. When the deputies arrived, he met the deputies outside, and he was calm, cool, collected, not upset, and he had blood on him. What we found inside was this knife. This knife is 12 inches long, and of the 12 inches, 8 inches of that is the blade. So he's saying that his mother fell on this knife. The medical examiner said it is not reasonable or plausible that she died the way that he said she did. As we start to peel back the layer of this onion, we find out that this is not just a singular event with Collin stabbing his mother in the neck and ultimately killing her. Here's what we found, and follow me as I read a timeline to you. On February 14th, 2023, on Valentine's Day, in Lincoln County, Lincoln County, Oklahoma. There's a Lincoln County, Nebraska, too. In Lincoln County, Oklahoma, Collin said that his dad pulled a knife on him, and he shot and killed his dad. In March of 23, just barely a month after the original murder of his father, he came to Charlotte County, Florida, to live with his mother. 6 months later, guess what happened? He's Baker acted. So it's September, and as he's getting out of the original Baker Act, he makes a statement that, well, I'll kill myself, or I'll kill my mother by shooting or stabbing her. Charlotte County re-Baker acts him the same exact day. They keep him 3 more days. November 2023. Collin then is arrested for domestic violence on his mother. And the reason he battered his mother is because she was disciplining him and took his video game privileges away. 3 months later, 12th of February in 2024, he has an argument with his mother, and he runs away from Charlotte County and comes back to Auburndale to his grandmother's house. The grandmother said, hey, we don't feel safe with him around. So our deputies who found him up here as a missing persons reported in Charlotte County turned him over to DCF. 2 days later, on the 14th of February, the anniversary of him killing his dad a year ago, he's reunited with his mother. Collin made the statement that, I don't want to go home. I'll use any force necessary to avoid it, to include killing my mother. So that's the second time he threatened to kill his mother.
So the sheriff does a nice job laying out how all of this sort of evolved over the course of just over a year, which brings me to the next question in my investigation. Should he have been removed from the family? Because he's back with his mom. She ends up dead. Should he have been removed from the family in light of everything that was happening there? And if so, how do you do it? Joining me, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt and retired Massachusetts juvenile court judge Carol Erskine. Thank you both for being here. Okay, so I'll begin with you, Judge. Should he have been removed? And if so, who has to do something to make that happen?
Well, I think he absolutely should have been removed. I'm just amazed that he was released from jail and also released from a 72-hour hold where he's actually telling people that he's going to kill his mother or kill himself. And they say, okay, we've held you for 72 hours, and then they release him. And this is a common occurrence with parent-child domestic violence cases. I think one of the things that is so different about parent-child domestic violence cases, and I've seen hundreds of them, is that when a court releases or jail releases a juvenile, they're essentially releasing him back to not only their custodian, but to their victim. And that doesn't happen with adults. When you have an adult domestic violence case, maybe there's bail, maybe there's not, but no judge is saying to the victim, you have to take your abuser home with you. And so that's the conundrum that judges have to deal with. Every single domestic violence case that I heard involving a juvenile and a parent, I had to look at what are the facts, what are the safety issues. Everyone should have been doing, in this case, a lethality assessment, because if they had, there is no way that they would have sent him home, because he met every criteria by which it should have been decided that there was a risk of lethality in this case. There was already prior violence, there were protective orders, there were violations of protective orders.
Beyond violence. I mean, he did take his father's life. It was ruled self-defense. Jennifer Brandt, I want to ask you, he seemed to indicate at one point that he didn't want to go back home. How does... he's a 17-year-old kid. He's not going to hire a lawyer, but does he have any rights to not be sent back there? Or is he a child, so he's got to do whatever DCF or someone else is saying he has to do?
Well, he has rights in terms of the court does need to listen to him and consider his statements, his opinion. But you have to look at this in the context of everything. I mean, he had killed his father. It was ruled self-defense. I understand that the mother and the father had been estranged from each other, and there had been some custody litigation that had gone on in the past where he didn't see the mother for quite some time. So from her perspective, I mean, I understand the judge says she's the victim here, but also she's a mom who hasn't had her child for a long time. So from her perspective, she probably was not looking to have him go into foster care or into the system, and probably wanted him back, and maybe felt that if he were with her, she could, get things right and hopefully help him, knowing that he had some serious issues. Of course, I think she blames some of those issues on the deceased father and the lifestyle that they had when they were together, when he had custody of the son. So it's a little bit of an unusual case because no one really knows what's going on in the household. And you have a 17-year-old saying, well, I don't want to go back to my mother. And yes, he has problems, that's for sure. But in the context of things, unless she was really fighting it as well, you could see how a court would say, no, the best place for you to go is with your parent and not into the foster system with strangers, with a strange family.
Yeah, Judge, this is such a difficult case, and we've got more to talk about. Judge Carol Erskine and Jennifer Brandt are going to stay with us. Up next, why did Collin kill his father?
Circle.com.
I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of 17-year-old Collin Griffith, who took the lives of both his parents, one in 2023 and the other in 2024. Here's the story. 17-year-old Collin Griffith has been charged with murder. He will be tried as an adult. The victim, his own mother. Collin is accused of stabbing her to death after running away from his home to his grandmother's home. He did it when his mother showed up to try to bring him home. For Collin, this is not his first interaction with law enforcement. In November of 2023, he was charged with domestic violence for attacking his mom. And earlier that year,
he killed his father. Investigators concluded it was done in self-defense, and now investigators are taking a second look.
Have to take another look, right? Now, these things happened in two different states. It was in Lincoln County, Oklahoma, where he killed his father, and then it was in Florida where he killed his mother. So he's been charged for murdering his mother, but now there's a lot of talk about what happened in Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, there's been talk about it by the sheriff in Florida. Here's Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd talking about what happened in Oklahoma.
We find out that this is not just a singular event with Collin stabbing his mother in the neck and ultimately killing her. Here's what we found, and follow me as I read a timeline to you. On February 14th, 2023, on Valentine's Day, in Lincoln County, Lincoln County, Oklahoma. There's a Lincoln County, Nebraska too. In Lincoln County, Oklahoma, Collin said that his dad pulled a knife on him, and he shot and killed his dad. That's right. His father was named Charles. He shot him once in the chest and once in the head, and he claimed self-defense. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations charged Collin with murder in the first degree. They dropped the charges less than a month later. They said they could not disprove Collin's assertion of self-defense. So he was released.
Okay. He asserted self-defense. And prosecutors, you have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was murder, and part of that burden is proving that it wasn't self-defense. This all brings us to the next question in my investigation. Why did Collin kill his father? Was it self-defense? Was he being threatened? Was something else going on here? How do you figure it out? Joining me, clinical and forensic psychologist and author Dr. Leslie Dobson, and retired homicide detective Chris Anderson. Chris, let me start with you. Trying to disprove self-defense. It's difficult. There's only two people there, and one of them's dead.
Right. It is very difficult. You know, and it's been something that I've had to do multiple times in my career. Proving a homicide case is understandably, it is the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest case of investigations that you'll have to work. But, you know, to answer the question of why he killed his father, it's, you know, I'm glad that answering the question why is not a part of the standard that is required for finding someone guilty of a homicide case, because the whys are the hardest thing to answer. Why someone did something is extremely hard to prove or hard to even insert in a case such as homicide. So you can always prove how it happened, where it happened, and when it happened through science and investigation work. But why is extremely hard. And truthfully, we may never know. We may never fully know why this case happened or if it could have been stopped.
Yeah, and if he's asserting self-defense, he's saying he did it because he was going to be killed and he had to save himself, but how do you disprove that is challenging. Okay, Dr. Leslie Dobson, let's get into the mind of this now 17-year-old. In light of what we know now, these domestic violence incidents, these Baker Acts, and then the killing of his mother as well, do you think a forensic psychiatric evaluation of this 17-year-old could uncover the answers to these questions, specifically why he killed his father?
I don't think there was a violence risk assessment done. Everything seemed to have been forgiven quite quickly with his father. I found it very odd. Himself, when he was being detained, used the word psychopath, saying, this boy seems way too familiar with violence and killing and understanding what was happening in the system. I think they should have paused, placed this boy on hold, and violence and psychological risk assessment and personality assessment.
So where does this type of behavior come from in someone that is this young? Could it be a product of what has happened to him in his life? Is it something that you're born with? You're just wired differently? What are your thoughts there on where this type of behavior could come from?
There is definitely a genetic predisposition to psychopathy, and we've seen it as early as age 5, mutilating animals, starting fires, exacerbated by traumatic and just horrible parenting. And what sounds like his father wasn't very kind to him. So yes, it can be exacerbated. But with that said, it doesn't mean that there is something unique about this person where he decided both his parents in different states, in different settings, without the combination. It would be one thing if they were both together and we're thinking the Menendez. This is completely different. He did it twice. And very quickly try to cover his crime with lies.
Okay, Chris Anderson, let me ask you this. Now the folks in Oklahoma know what's happened down in Florida. Do they take a second look at this? Is there a different approach to the investigation in light of what has transpired with his mother?
Absolutely, you take a second look at it. If there's not a second look taken at that case with what's happened to his mother, then the district attorney, the officers that investigated that case, and the public there's been a huge disservice to the people that they serve. So you absolutely take a second look at that case and to see if there's any place where there may have been a mistake that was made. So, and it's always good to have a second set of eyes in cases like this. So you absolutely must take a second look at this case.
You know, Dr. Leslie Dobson, something else that was noticed by a lot of folks, he made 911 calls. There seems to be some level of similarity to it. Do you think there was, is this someone who is dangerous beyond his family? Is this someone who could be potentially dangerous to other inmates if he ever gets out, or if he's put in a juvenile facility? Is there danger? Is it someone that could be that damaged, or is it possible that whatever's inside of him is focused solely at the people directly in his life, his own family?
I don't know that we have to say that it was really truly directed at his mother. Very impulsively makes statements that he didn't was going to harm her. And so there may be a compulsion to do that to others. This level of violence is very dangerous. And yes, I would definitely think that he and have impulsivity issues and need a full assessment of what is going on, as well as pulling all his school records, talking to family. What's this kid been doing for 17 years? Can look at and then use to understand the projection.
And Chris, one final question. We only have a few seconds here, but I think the folks in Florida were put in a tough spot, not necessarily knowing what had happened in Oklahoma, at least initially in these calls. If they had known, do you think they may have taken different actions?
That's a tough one. I would expect for you to take as many actions required or as necessary to protect your victim, which was his mother at the time. So I don't think that you should, heighten your awareness to things that have happened. Yeah, but I just don't. That's a tough question to answer. For me, I would expect for you to do treat people the same way in any call, in any situation. So if this is a call for violence or something that may end in violence, then you should have started that in the beginning.
Chris Anderson, Dr. Leslie Dobson, great to have you with us. Thanks so much for your valuable time. Still to come, should the jury know about Collin killing his father?
He attacked me, my dad, and when he did, he tried to kill me with a knife, and then it was in Oklahoma, and he died. So, okay. How was that? I shot him.
How are we doing, guys? We're good? Okay.
You're on very shaky ground.
That is unreal.
People wanted answers, and people started locking their doors.
I did not do it to hurt anybody.
You know what it means. You know what you did, right?
Please hear me out. Please. This was a real-life soap opera.
And I said, OJ, everybody thinks you're guilty.
So I came to live with her after my dad died, and since then, there's just been kind of times when things boil over with her.
He mentions to police, Collin Griffith, that he came to live with his mom after his father died. Well, his father didn't just die. It wasn't like he passed away. He was shot and killed by Collin. Collin claimed self-defense. And investigators said they couldn't disprove it, so nothing happened to him. So he went down to Florida to be with his mom. Let's take a listen to more of Collin Griffith talking about shooting his father.
He attacked me, my dad, and when he did, he tried to kill me with a knife, and then it was in Oklahoma, and he died. So, okay. How was that? I shot him when he tried to kill me.
Did you already have a gun in your hand?
I was fleeing, and the house was filled with guns, 23 to be exact, and
you knew who they were?
I didn't seek one out, I was just trying to run, but then I was cornered, and I had nothing else. There was a gun, and she got that.
What was he trying to kill you?
He's also a bit of a case, but homophobia.
So now police knew that he had killed his father, and this again is before he kills his mother. But now he has killed his mother and he's charged with murdering his mother, which brings us to the next question in our investigation. And it's about the trial for murdering his mother. Should the jury know about Collin killing his father? He wasn't prosecuted for it. He claimed self-defense. They said they couldn't disprove it. But should the jury know about Collin killing his father? Joining me, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt and retired Massachusetts Juvenile Court Judge Carol Erskine. Okay, Jennifer Brandt, what are your thoughts here? Should that jury know?
Well, I think that the jury should know, but it is prejudicial for him, especially because he was released on those charges. But I would say if they re-examine the case and reopen those charges and actually charge him criminally for shooting his father, then yes, absolutely, the jury should know, because, you know, you got even a similar story here. He said in this case that his mother sort of came at him, or they had a fight and she fell on the knife. And you hear him telling the police, oh yeah, my dad was coming at me and, you know, I had nothing, there were a lot of guns around and I just happened to grab one and shoot him. I had no other choice. So, I mean, it sounds very similar, these stories, and he seems very cold and calculating. So I don't think the jury even needs to know, given the crime against his mother, but it certainly would help prosecutors.
And we've seen other cases where prior incidents, and sometimes like in the Stair case, the prior incident came in for something that the defendant wasn't even prosecuted for in another country. So we have seen instances where this comes in. Judge, what are your thoughts on this? Because you know, prejudicial versus probative, but when we hear that he also killed his father and he killed his mother and he's going to claim that his father was coming at him with a knife, my mother was coming at me with a knife, you know, 2 + 2 = 4. It's easier to put the pieces together.
Yes, I think, you know, it seems like it should be able to come in, but Florida, like most states, has a prior bad acts rule that keeps evidence of prior bad acts out. There's only there's an exception in the rule in Florida that it can come in under certain circumstances. And those circumstances are that if it can prove motive or intent or knowledge related to the crime that is being tried, then there's a possibility. But I think on balance, it's so incredibly prejudicial that I just think the prejudicial aspect outweighs the probative aspect. And the other thing to consider, which is in most states, is that prior bad acts of a defendant when they were a juvenile are often barred from coming in. So I think there are a number of reasons that a judge would likely keep it out. I'm not sure he could get a fair trial if that came in. I think there could be Sixth Amendment issues.
And you hit the nail on the head. He's a juvenile. He will be tried in Florida as an adult. You know, looking at this case, Jennifer Brandt, I don't know if he's going to say self-defense again. I don't think he's necessarily going to go there. But it seems that there's absolutely a psychological aspect to this whole thing going on here.
Definitely. I think that is his best defense is, you know, his mental state, his insanity, something along those lines would be the best defense for him, because self-defense is not going to work, especially when you hear him months earlier saying that, don't put me back in there, I might kill my mother. I mean, it sounds like he was thinking about it, or something that people should have been aware of, that this was something that could have happened. So I think he would be hard pressed for him to argue self-defense, even though he tried by explaining that she just, you know, or he said it was sort of an accident, that she just happened to fall on the knife, which was implausible.
Judge, you know, we often talk about not wanting to send children away forever, right? He's 17 when this killing happens. From your perspective, is this someone who should have the opportunity to perhaps be released somewhere down the road if, in fact, he's convicted of the murder?
Well, I think a lot of states are looking at life without parole in cases where the defendant was a juvenile or under 18 when it happened, as being it's following in the line of Supreme Court cases disallowing the death penalty for anyone who was under 18 when convicted. I think the concern about him, and there's not a lot of forensic information, but he's so dangerous based on the information that it is concerning. But that doesn't mean he can't be treated for his mental illness if he is incarcerated. I mean, I was a juvenile court judge, so I always like to keep in mind that things that happen in the years when kids are juveniles are often things that might not have happened years later had they been an adult. But this is a particularly unusual case.
Unusual and dangerous, I think, is the real word. Judge Carol Erskine, Jennifer Brandt, thank you so much. We'll see you again really, really soon. Collin Griffith was out of control. He was violent. He was dangerous. And the people closest to him knew it, yet somehow he was still able to kill 2 people. Ironically, Collin knew it would end this way and actually said so. So it seems the adults of our system did not listen. It's tragic, and the 2 lives are gone, and another will likely spend decades behind bars. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.